Your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. This sentence speaks to the core of personal success. No matter how skilled or talented you are, it's your attitude that ultimately shapes the trajectory of your life. Attitude is the lens through which we view the world, and it influences every decision, relationship, and opportunity we encounter. However, many of us unknowingly struggle with what I call the hidden diseases of attitude. These diseases don't show up with physical symptoms, but they quietly sabotage our potential and keep us from achieving what we're truly capable of. They often grow unnoticed, like weeds in a garden, slowly eroding our dreams, success, and happiness. The worst part? These attitude diseases are so deeply ingrained in our daily thinking that we may not even recognize them until they've caused significant damage. But the good news is that these diseases can be cured. The first step is awareness. Once we can identify and address them, we have the power to transform our lives for the better. Today, I'm going to uncover the 7 most dangerous attitude diseases that are secretly ruining your life and keeping you from the success you deserve. Stay with me for the next few minutes as I walk you through these hidden traps and show you how to break free from them to unlock your full potential. Number 1, indifference. The silent destroyer of dreams. Indifference is one of the most dangerous attitudes that can quietly ruin your life. It may appear harmless at first. After all, how bad can it be to simply not care? But indifference, when allowed to take root, becomes a silent destroyer of dreams, potential, and progress. It's the mindset of, it doesn't matter or I can't be bothered, and it leads to complacency, stagnation, and wasted opportunities. Think of indifference as a garden left untended. Initially, the weeds are small, and the garden might still look okay. But if left alone, the weeds start to take over, choking out the flowers and plants that were once thriving. Over time, the garden becomes unrecognizable, and the effort to restore it is monumental. The same happens when we neglect our goals, our passions, and our relationships. When we allow ourselves to drift in life without putting effort into what matters, we risk allowing everything we care about to wither and fade. Indifference creates a life that feels fine, but lacks the vibrancy of growth, success, and fulfillment. People who are indifferent stop asking themselves the hard questions. How can I improve? What steps can I take today to make progress? Instead, they settle for mediocrity, accepting the status quo and convincing themselves that nothing more is possible. But in truth, this mindset doesn't just stall you, it keeps you stuck, frozen in place, and unable to move forward. The problem with indifference is that it doesn't show its effects immediately. At first, it may seem like nothing's wrong, but over time, the lack of effort, focus, and passion adds up, slowly eroding your chances at success. What could have been a moment of action or a breakthrough opportunity becomes nothing more than an empty chance, missed because of the indifference that took root. However, the good news is that indifference is not permanent. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed. The first step is recognizing it for what it is and acknowledging that it is standing in the way of your progress. Once you accept that, the next step is to deliberately choose to care, truly care, about your goals, your health, your relationships, and your personal growth. The key to breaking free from indifference is action. Small steps, consistent effort, and a willingness to engage with your life fully are the antidotes to this silent destroyer. When you choose to actively pursue your dreams and invest time and energy into what matters, you begin to shift from a life of complacency to one of action and fulfillment. Remember, success doesn't come to those who wait and wish for it. It comes to those who are willing to take charge, make decisions, and put in the work every day. The choice is yours. Will you remain indifferent, letting your potential go to waste, or will you commit to taking action, caring deeply about your future, and moving toward the life you deserve? Number 2, indecision, the killer of progress. Indecision is a silent killer, often disguised as careful consideration or a desire to make the right choice. But in reality, indecision keeps you stuck, preventing any real movement toward your goals. The inability to make decisions or constantly second-guessing yourself leads to stagnation and missed opportunities. Every day spent indecisive is a day wasted. And unfortunately, many people fall into this trap without realizing the damage it's causing. The nature of indecision is sneaky. At first, it might seem like you're being thoughtful, weighing your options carefully, and making sure you don't make any mistakes. However, over time, indecision becomes an excuse for not taking action. You start to get comfortable in the uncertainty, convinced that being stuck in a state of not knowing is somehow safer than making the wrong decision. But here's the truth. Not making a decision is often worse than making a wrong one. When you don't make a decision, you effectively choose to remain where you are, trapped in a cycle of inaction and missed growth. One of the biggest problems with indecision is that it paralyzes you from moving forward. Every decision, no matter how small, holds the potential to move you toward your goals. But when you're unable or unwilling to decide, you stay stagnant. It's like standing still at a crossroads, unable to choose which path to take. And as time passes, the world keeps moving forward, leaving you behind. Opportunities slip away, momentum slows, and you're left wondering why things haven't improved, despite all the time you've spent deliberating. This constant state of uncertainty breeds self-doubt and anxiety. As you overthink every choice, you begin to wonder if you'll ever make the right decision. You might even question your own abilities and whether or not you're capable of achieving your goals. But this line of thinking is counterproductive. It's easy to become trapped in a cycle of indecision because, in a way, it feels safer. The fear of making the wrong choice, the fear of failure, keeps you in limbo. But the reality is that inaction is far more dangerous than making a mistake. You learn nothing when you do nothing. Mistakes, on the other hand, are learning opportunities. They provide feedback and guide you toward the right path. The truth is, life is full of decisions, big and small. And the sooner you understand that not deciding is a decision in itself, the better. Every time you choose to delay or avoid making a decision, you're choosing inaction. And inaction will keep you from growing, from reaching your potential, and from achieving your dreams. The key is to stop overthinking and make decisions with confidence, even if they're not perfect. The important thing is that you make a decision and then commit to it. It's natural to fear making mistakes, but the cost of inaction far outweighs the risk of failure. Imagine standing in front of a mountain, deciding whether to climb it or not. If you stay where you are, the mountain remains the same size, and you're no closer to reaching the summit. But if you take that first step, no matter how uncertain you are about the path, you begin the climb. You might stumble, fall, or even take a wrong turn. But with each step, you learn more about the mountain and yourself. The journey becomes less about the destination and more about the experience and growth you gain along the way. Indecision, on the other hand, locks you into a state of stagnation. You remain at the base of the mountain, paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. The longer you stand still, the more daunting the climb seems. And eventually, the mountain might feel insurmountable. But the reality is that the climb is always easier once you start. The most important step is simply to take action, even if that action feels imperfect or uncertain. One powerful way to overcome indecision is to embrace the mindset of deciding quickly and adjusting as you go. Successful people don't always have all the answers up front, but they take action anyway. They understand that the process of making decisions isn't about being perfect. It's about moving forward and learning as you go. It's better to make a decision, take action, and adjust based on results than to be stuck waiting for the perfect moment that may never come. Another helpful technique to overcome indecision is to break down decisions into smaller, manageable steps. If the thought of making a major decision overwhelms you, focus on the small actions you can take that will bring you closer to clarity. This reduces the pressure and allows you to build momentum. Each small decision you make will lead to more confidence. And before you know it, you'll be making bigger, more impactful decisions without hesitation. The key to defeating indecision is to understand that action is the antidote. Even if the decision feels difficult or uncertain, remember that inaction will only cost you more time and energy. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to make a change. The quicker you decide, the sooner you can move forward, learn, and grow. So if you find yourself stuck in a cycle of indecision, take a deep breath, trust your instincts, and make a choice. No decision is perfect, but all decisions lead to growth. Embrace the process, and remember that the biggest regret in life isn't making the wrong decision. It's failing to make any decision at all. Number 3, self-doubt. The most dangerous enemy. Self-doubt is one of the most insidious and destructive forces in our lives. It's a silent, internal voice that often whispers in our minds, telling us that we're not good enough, capable enough, or deserving enough to reach our goals. This voice of self-doubt holds us back, keeps us stuck, and prevents us from taking the bold steps necessary to achieve success. It doesn't just affect our career or ambitions, it undermines our confidence, self-worth, and the way we view ourselves in the world. At the core of self-doubt lies the fear of failure. We worry that if we try something and fail, it will confirm our deepest insecurities, that we aren't capable of achieving greatness. This fear can be paralyzing. Instead of taking action, we begin to shrink back from opportunities, convincing ourselves that they're too risky or beyond our reach. We become so fixated on the possibility of failure that we avoid trying altogether. This creates a vicious cycle. The more we doubt ourselves, the less we try, and the fewer chances we give ourselves to succeed. The longer we stay in this cycle, the harder it becomes to break free. Self-doubt can also manifest as perfectionism, the belief that everything we do must be flawless before we can even begin. We set unrealistic expectations for ourselves and feel that if we don't meet them perfectly, we'll fall short of success. This constant need for perfection becomes a barrier because it keeps us from taking action in the first place. Instead of striving for excellence, we end up paralyzed by the thought that we're not good enough to even try. As a result, we wait for the perfect moment, which often never comes, and we remain stagnant. The danger of self-doubt is that it feeds on itself. The more we listen to it, the more we believe it, and the more it becomes our reality. We begin to see ourselves through a lens of weakness and limitation rather than strength and potential. Over time, this can chip away at our self-esteem, making us feel unworthy of success or unable to handle the challenges life throws at us. It's like a mental prison we've created for ourselves, where our thoughts and beliefs trap us in a state of perpetual self-criticism. But here's the truth. Self-doubt is a lie. It's an illusion that tries to convince us that we're not capable of achieving our dreams, when in reality we have the potential to achieve far more than we ever imagined. The key to overcoming self-doubt is believing in ourselves, not waiting for external validation or the perfect circumstances, but trusting that we are worthy and capable of success. When we shift our focus from our limitations to our potential, we begin to unlock the power within us to take action and move forward. The first step in overcoming self-doubt is to recognize it for what it is, a destructive thought pattern that doesn't serve us. Often these doubts are based on past experiences, negative feedback from others, or our own fears of failure. However, they don't define who we are or what we can achieve in the future. When we acknowledge that self-doubt is simply a voice in our heads, nothing more, we can start to challenge it. Every time it arises, we can remind ourselves that it's not the truth. We can choose to reject those limiting thoughts and replace them with empowering beliefs. Another important step in overcoming self-doubt is taking small actions despite feeling uncertain. Often self-doubt convinces us that we need to be fully confident before taking any action. But the truth is, confidence comes through action. The more we take steps forward, even if they're imperfect, the more our confidence grows. Every small success reinforces our belief in ourselves, proving that we are capable of handling challenges and achieving our goals. When we take action, we begin to silence the voice of self-doubt, because we're proving to ourselves that we are indeed capable. One of the most effective ways to combat self-doubt is to surround ourselves with people who uplift and support us. Positive influences, whether friends, mentors, or role models, help to reinforce our belief in ourselves. They encourage us, remind us of our strengths, and offer constructive feedback that helps us grow. The people we spend time with play a huge role in shaping our mindset. If we're constantly around those who doubt us or belittle our dreams, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that we're not good enough. On the other hand, when we surround ourselves with people who believe in our potential, we begin to see ourselves in a more positive light. Another crucial element in overcoming self-doubt is self-compassion. Many of us are quick to criticize ourselves, especially when we fall short of our expectations. But self-criticism only deepens self-doubt. Instead of beating ourselves up, we must learn to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. When we make mistakes, we should view them as opportunities to learn and grow, not as evidence of our inadequacy. Embracing self-compassion allows us to bounce back from setbacks more quickly and stay focused on our goals. Self-doubt may never completely disappear, but it doesn't have to control our lives. By recognizing it, challenging it, and taking action despite it, we can overcome its grip and step into the fullness of our potential. The key is to shift from focusing on what we lack to embracing what we have, our unique skills, strengths, and abilities. When we believe in ourselves and take consistent action, self-doubt loses its power, and we begin to see the success that we've always had the potential to achieve. Number 4. Worry. The mental energy drain. Worry is one of the most damaging and exhausting mental habits we can have. It's a constant drain on our energy, productivity, and mental well-being. Often we think of worry as just a normal part of life, something we all experience when facing challenges or uncertainty. But when worry becomes a habit, it starts to take over our lives, clouding our judgment, limiting our actions, and stealing our peace of mind. Worry robs us of the energy we need to take action, solve problems, and create solutions. Instead, it keeps us focused on the problems themselves, leaving us powerless to change anything. The truth about worry is that it's rarely based on reality. We often worry about things that haven't happened yet, things that are uncertain, out of our control, or based on assumptions rather than facts. We imagine worst-case scenarios, spinning stories in our minds about what could go wrong. We play out every possible negative outcome, even though many of those outcomes are unlikely to ever occur. The problem is that while we're consumed by these thoughts, we're not moving forward. We're stuck in a mental loop, circling around the same fears and anxieties without taking any real action to address them. This pattern of worry keeps us from living in the present moment. Instead of enjoying the here and now, we become fixated on the what-ifs of the future. We miss out on the opportunities and possibilities right in front of us because we're too busy worrying about things that might never come to pass. Worry becomes a barrier between us and the life we want to live. It clouds our ability to think clearly and make good decisions. We become paralyzed by the fear of the unknown, unsure of how to move forward, or even if we should. What makes worry even more damaging is its physical impact on our health. When we worry constantly, our bodies are put into a state of stress. We feel anxious, restless, and tense. We may experience physical symptoms like headaches, sleeplessness, digestive issues, and muscle tension. Chronic worry takes a toll on both our mental and physical health, weakening our immune system, affecting our mood, and reducing our ability to function at our best. In the long term, this constant state of anxiety can lead to more serious health issues, including depression and burnout. The danger of worry lies in its self-perpetuating nature. The more we worry, the more we become focused on the negative. We start to believe that worrying is the only way to prepare for challenges or avoid potential problems. We think that by worrying, we can control the outcome of events or prevent bad things from happening. But worry doesn't change anything. It only depletes our energy, prevents us from acting, and makes everything feel more overwhelming. It's a vicious cycle that keeps us stuck in a loop of fear without any actual progress. To break free from the grip of worry, we need to shift our focus. Instead of dwelling on the worst-case scenarios, we need to focus on what we can control. The actions we can take today. Action is the antidote to worry. When we start taking steps toward a solution, we gain a sense of control over the situation, and the grip of worry loosens. Worry thrives on inaction. And when we start to act, we begin to reduce the uncertainty that fuels it. Even if our actions are small or imperfect, they are better than standing still in fear. One powerful tool to overcome worry is mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches us to stay present and focus on what's happening right now, rather than getting lost in thoughts about the future. By practicing mindfulness, we can train ourselves to observe our thoughts without judgment and detach from the stories we tell ourselves. Instead of getting caught up in a spiral of worry, we can bring ourselves back to the present moment and focus on what is within our control. This practice helps us break free from the endless cycle of what-ifs and regain our mental clarity and focus. Another way to tackle worry is to reframe our thoughts. Instead of asking ourselves, what if something goes wrong? Ask, what if everything goes right? Instead of assuming the worst, consider the possibility of a positive outcome. Reframing helps us look at situations from a different perspective, shifting from a mindset of fear to one of possibility. It opens us up to the idea that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, and that we can choose to see challenges as opportunities for growth. Taking action also helps to silence the inner voice of worry. When we're worried about something, it's easy to become immobilized by fear. But taking even one small step toward a solution can shift our mindset and help us feel more empowered. It doesn't matter how big or small the action is. What matters is that we are moving forward, rather than staying stuck in worry. Every small step you take builds confidence, reduces anxiety, and makes the situation feel more manageable. Finally, let go of what's beyond your control. We waste so much time worrying about things that we have no power over, whether it's the actions of other people, the future, or the outcome of an event. Instead of focusing on things we can't change, we need to focus on the things we can control: our actions, our mindset, and how we respond to challenges. By doing this, we free ourselves from the mental burden of worrying about things that don't serve us. Worrying doesn't solve problems, it only creates more. It's time to stop letting worry rule our lives. By shifting our focus, taking action, and practicing mindfulness, we can break free from the grip of worry and create a life where we feel more in control, less anxious, and more present in the moment. The more we let go of worry, the more mental and physical energy we free up for the things that truly matter. Take a step forward today and start living with less worry and more peace. Number 5, overcaution. The fear that holds you back. Overcaution is an attitude that many of us fall into, especially when we face situations where the risks seem high and the stakes feel overwhelming. It's the tendency to overthink every decision, weigh every possibility, and second-guess ourselves to the point of paralysis. While caution can be a valuable trait in certain situations, overcaution becomes a hindrance when it keeps us from taking necessary risks, trying new things, and stepping outside of our comfort zones. The fear of making a mistake or failing often leads to inaction, and in the process, we miss out on opportunities that could lead to growth, success, and personal fulfillment. The root of overcaution lies in fear: fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of judgment, and even fear of making the wrong choice. These fears often come from past experiences, societal pressures, or self-doubt, and they can create a mental barrier that keeps us stuck in a cycle of hesitation. Overcaution makes us believe that the safest option is always the best one, but in reality, the safest option is rarely the most rewarding. While it's important to evaluate risks, excessive caution often prevents us from taking the bold steps necessary to move forward in life. One of the most dangerous aspects of overcaution is how it convinces us that doing nothing is somehow safer than taking a risk. It tricks us into believing that if we wait long enough, the perfect moment will come, and we'll be able to make a decision with 100% certainty. The reality is that the perfect moment rarely arrives, and in the meantime, we're simply wasting time, missing out on valuable experiences, and allowing opportunities to slip away. Life doesn't wait for us to feel completely ready or comfortable. It moves forward whether we're cautious or not. And by staying too cautious, we remain stagnant, stuck in a cycle of what-ifs and maybe-laters, while the world continues to evolve around us. The truth is that risk is inherent in life, whether we choose to embrace it or not. There is always a level of uncertainty in every decision we make, and there is no way to guarantee a perfect outcome. But avoiding risk altogether comes with its own set of consequences. When we hold back due to overcaution, we close ourselves off to new opportunities, new experiences, and the chance to grow. The road to success is paved with mistakes, failures, and lessons learned. Without risk, there is no room for growth. The biggest risk is to play it safe all the time, living a life of missed chances and unrealized potential. Overcaution also leads to missed personal growth. Think about how many times in life you have hesitated to take action because you were uncertain about the outcome. Maybe you wanted to change careers, start a new project, or pursue a dream, but the fear of failure kept you stuck. Or perhaps you wanted to speak up, share your ideas, or take a stand, but you were too afraid of how others might react. In these moments, overcaution acts like a chain that holds you back from reaching your potential. Every time you don't take action because you're too cautious, you allow your fear of failure to dictate your life, preventing you from becoming the person you are capable of being. The truth is, failure is not the end. It's simply a part of the process. Every successful person has experienced failure, rejection, and mistakes along the way. What sets them apart is their willingness to try anyway, to take the risk, and to learn from their failures rather than letting them stop them. Failure is the best teacher, and the lessons we learn from our mistakes often shape us into better, more resilient individuals. Without taking risks, we never learn these lessons, and we never have the opportunity to improve. The key to overcoming overcaution is to embrace calculated risks. This doesn't mean throwing caution to the wind or acting recklessly. It means evaluating the potential risks and rewards of a decision, trusting your instincts, and taking action anyway. Sometimes, we overestimate the dangers and underestimate our own capabilities. By taking small, manageable risks, and seeing them through, we build confidence and resilience. The more we practice taking action despite fear, the easier it becomes to take bigger risks and step outside our comfort zones. It's a mindset shift from fear of failure to excitement about possibility. One of the most important lessons in overcoming overcaution is to focus on the potential for growth rather than the potential for failure. When you start to see every decision as an opportunity to learn and grow, it takes the pressure off the outcome. You begin to understand that even if things don't go as planned, you're still moving forward, gaining valuable experience, and building the skills you need for future success. Life is about progress, not perfection. And every step you take, no matter how uncertain, moves you closer to your goals. Overcoming overcaution also requires changing your perspective on risk. Instead of seeing risk as something to avoid, start viewing it as a necessary part of life. Take risks that align with your values, goals, and vision. These risks are the stepping stones to achieving what you want. And while they may seem daunting at first, they often lead to the greatest rewards. Action is the antidote to fear. The more you act, the less room there is for fear to hold you back. With every decision, you gain more clarity, confidence, and control over your future. In conclusion, overcaution holds us back by keeping us trapped in a state of fear and inaction. While it's natural to feel cautious at times, letting fear dictate every decision prevents us from taking the necessary risks that lead to growth and success. Life is full of uncertainties, but it's through embracing those uncertainties and moving forward despite them that we truly grow. Risk is not something to avoid, it's something to embrace. When we stop waiting for the perfect moment and start taking bold, calculated actions, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities, progress, and success. Number 6, pessimism. A mindset of defeat. Pessimism is one of the most destructive attitude diseases, as it not only clouds our judgment, but also locks us into a cycle of negativity that prevents us from seeing opportunities for growth and success. It's a mindset that focuses on the problems rather than the solutions, always looking for reasons why something won't work, instead of finding ways it could. Pessimists often live in a world of what ifs and what's wrong, and as a result, they miss out on potential, joy, and fulfillment in their lives. Pessimism is a mindset of defeat before even attempting to succeed. The problem with pessimism is that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When we constantly expect the worst, we act in ways that ensure those negative outcomes come true. We're so focused on why things will fail that we don't put in the effort to make them succeed. We might avoid taking action altogether because we assume it won't work out. We approach situations with doubt and fear, which in turn causes us to make poor decisions or fail to act at all. The belief that things won't get better keeps us stuck, and this defeatist attitude perpetuates itself, keeping us from reaching our true potential. Pessimism also affects our ability to see opportunities when they arise. When we're always focused on the negative side of things, we fail to recognize the positive aspects and the potential for growth in any situation. Opportunities can be staring us in the face, but because we are so focused on what could go wrong, we miss them. We can't see the silver lining because our minds are conditioned to look for clouds. Instead of thinking, this is an obstacle, but how can I overcome it? The pessimist thinks, this is too difficult. It will never work. This mindset limits our ability to take risks, make decisions, and ultimately achieve success. What many pessimists don't realize is that our mindset shapes our reality. Our thoughts and beliefs determine the actions we take, and those actions determine the outcomes we experience. If we constantly think about failure, fear, and difficulty, we attract those things into our lives. We become victims of our own thoughts. On the other hand, when we shift our mindset to one of optimism, hope, and possibility, we open ourselves up to opportunities and solutions. Optimists look at problems as challenges to be solved, not insurmountable obstacles. They understand that every setback is a lesson and a stepping stone towards success. It's also important to note that pessimism isn't always a conscious choice. Often it's a habit that has been cultivated over time due to negative experiences, fear, or even the influence of others. We've all been around people who constantly focus on what could go wrong, and over time, that kind of thinking can rub off on us. We may have also had experiences in the past where things didn't go as planned, and now we carry that fear and doubt into every new opportunity. While it's natural to feel cautious or worried at times, allowing pessimism to take over our mindset makes it difficult to see the potential for success in the future. Breaking free from pessimism requires conscious effort. It's not enough to simply wish for a more positive attitude. It requires action. The first step is to become aware of your thoughts. Notice when you start to think negatively or when you immediately assume that something will fail. Pay attention to the language you use with yourself. Do you say things like, "I can't do this," or "This won't work," or "I'm not good enough"? If so, you're reinforcing a negative mindset. By catching these thoughts early, you can challenge them and replace them with more empowering beliefs. One of the most effective ways to combat pessimism is to practice gratitude. When we focus on what's going wrong, it's easy to forget about all the things that are going right. By regularly practicing gratitude, we train our minds to focus on the positive aspects of our lives, no matter how small they may seem. Start each day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. This simple habit shifts your focus from scarcity and negativity to abundance and positivity. When we focus on what we already have, we start to feel more hopeful and empowered, and the pessimism fades away. Another strategy is to surround yourself with positive influences. The people we spend time with have a huge impact on our mindset. If we're constantly around people who focus on the negative, it can be hard to maintain a positive outlook. On the other hand, spending time with optimistic and solution-oriented people can help us shift our perspective. These people inspire us to think differently, encourage us to take risks, and remind us that failure is not the end, but a step on the path to success. When you intentionally seek out positive, supportive relationships, you reinforce a mindset that is open to possibility and growth. In addition to gratitude and positive influences, it's essential to take action. Even when we feel uncertain or afraid, action is the antidote to pessimism. When we take steps toward our goals, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of handling challenges and overcoming obstacles. Every small action, no matter how imperfect, builds momentum and confidence. Taking action helps us shift from a mindset of defeat to one of progress, and it reminds us that our circumstances do not define us, our actions do. Ultimately, optimism is a choice to believe in possibility, in growth, and in our own abilities. It's about shifting from seeing the world as a series of problems to seeing it as a series of opportunities. Pessimism may seem easier in the short term because it requires no action, but in the long term, it's a trap that leads to frustration, regret, and unfulfilled potential. The power lies in our ability to choose how we respond to life's challenges. When we choose to embrace optimism, we open ourselves to the countless possibilities that life has to offer. Number 7, complaining. The path to nowhere. Complaining is a deeply ingrained habit for many people, one that often goes unnoticed and unchallenged. It seems harmless at first, a way to vent frustrations or express dissatisfaction with life's challenges. However, complaining is one of the most detrimental habits we can have, as it shifts our focus from solutions to problems and prevents us from taking responsibility for our own lives. When we complain, we engage in a cycle of negativity that keeps us stuck in a place of frustration, helplessness, and inaction. It's easy to fall into the trap of complaining because it offers temporary relief, but in the long run, it only serves to reinforce a mindset of victimhood and powerlessness. The problem with complaining is that it doesn't lead to any real change. Complaining about a situation doesn't improve it. It merely fuels our frustration and keeps us focused on what's wrong. When we complain, we often repeat the same negative thoughts over and over, strengthening our negative emotions and reinforcing the belief that things are beyond our control. Instead of seeking solutions or making positive changes, we stay stuck in the problem, complaining about it endlessly. This cycle only serves to drain our energy and attention, leaving us with little room to take constructive action. When we complain, we also give up our power. Complaining is an expression of helplessness. It's an admission that we believe something outside of ourselves is responsible for our circumstances, and we have no ability to change it. This mindset takes away our sense of control and puts the blame for our situation on external factors, other people, circumstances, or bad luck. But the reality is that we always have a choice in how we respond to challenges, and complaining robs us of that choice. By complaining, we surrender our ability to take responsibility for our actions and choices, and we become passive victims of our circumstances. In addition to robbing us of our personal power, complaining also negatively impacts those around us. Constant complaining can be contagious. When we focus on the negative, we bring those around us into the same negative space. We drain the energy of others, create a toxic atmosphere, and foster an environment where solutions are hard to come by. Complaining becomes an ongoing cycle that keeps everyone stuck in negativity. Over time, this habit erodes relationships, reduces morale, and hinders progress. People who constantly complain are often avoided because their negativity can feel overwhelming and draining. What's more, complaining reinforces a victim mentality. When we complain, we often see ourselves as powerless victims of the world around us. This mindset makes it difficult to take ownership of our lives, our actions, and our outcomes. We start to believe that things happen to us rather than for us. We tell ourselves stories about how life is unfair, how things are always working against us, and how we're doomed to be stuck in our circumstances. The more we complain, the more we begin to see ourselves as helpless victims who have no control over their lives. This mindset keeps us from breaking free of our challenges and finding the strength to change our situations. To break free from the cycle of complaining, we must make a conscious decision to take responsibility for our lives and our responses to life's challenges. Complaining might feel good in the moment, but it doesn't solve anything. The first step is to recognize that complaining is a choice, and it's a choice we can change. Instead of complaining about a problem, focus on finding a solution. When faced with a challenge, ask yourself, what can I do to change this situation? Or what steps can I take to move forward? When we focus on solutions, we shift from a mindset of helplessness to one of empowerment and action. Another key to overcoming the complaining habit is to practice gratitude. Gratitude is the antidote to negativity. When we focus on what we have, rather than what we lack, we begin to see the good in our lives. Gratitude shifts our attention from the problems to the blessings, and it reminds us that even in difficult times, there is always something to be thankful for. By practicing gratitude daily, we can rewire our minds to focus on the positive aspects of life, rather than constantly dwelling on the negatives. Instead of complaining about what's going wrong, we can cultivate an attitude of appreciation for what's going right. Taking action is another powerful way to break free from complaining. Complaining keeps us stuck in a state of inaction. But when we take deliberate steps to improve our circumstances, we shift our focus from the problem to the solution. Every small action we take, whether it's making a decision, taking a step toward a goal, or addressing an issue, empowers us and moves us forward. Action breaks the cycle of complaining by focusing on what we can control and what we can change. It's easy to complain when we feel helpless, but when we start taking responsibility and taking action, we reclaim our power and our ability to create the life we want. Another effective way to stop complaining is to surround yourself with positive influences. If we spend time with people who are constantly negative or complaining, it becomes harder to break the habit ourselves. Instead, surround yourself with people who focus on solutions, who encourage and support you, and who inspire you to take action. The people we associate with have a powerful impact on our mindset and attitude. When we surround ourselves with positive, solution-oriented individuals, we are more likely to adopt a similar mindset and avoid falling into the trap of complaining. Ultimately, overcoming the habit of complaining requires a shift in mindset. We need to stop seeing ourselves as victims and start taking responsibility for our thoughts, actions, and outcomes. Life will always present challenges, but how we respond to those challenges is what determines our success. Complaining is a choice, but so is choosing to take action, practice gratitude, and focus on solutions. When we stop complaining, we open ourselves up to growth, empowerment, and the opportunity to create the life we truly desire. As we've explored throughout this video, our attitudes have the power to shape our experiences, outcomes, and ultimately, our lives. The hidden diseases of attitude indifference, indecision, self-doubt, worry, overcaution, pessimism, and complaining are not just fleeting moments of negativity. They are habits that over time can sabotage our dreams, limit our growth, and prevent us from realizing our true potential. The good news is that these attitudes can be changed. We have the ability to reframe our mindset, replace negative thought patterns with positive, empowering beliefs, and take action toward creating the life we want. Each of these attitude diseases is an opportunity for growth. By recognizing and addressing them, we unlock the power to take control of our future. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, one step at a time. Overcoming the negative attitudes that hold us back requires self-awareness, commitment, and the courage to make a conscious choice to shift our thinking. It's about taking responsibility for the thoughts we entertain and the actions we take. Instead of being controlled by our circumstances, we can choose to change the way we respond, to focus on solutions, and to move forward despite challenges. You are not defined by your past mistakes, failures, or doubts. You are defined by your willingness to change, to grow, and to take bold action toward the life you envision. Your future is not determined by the negative attitudes you once held, but by the positive, proactive choices you make today. So take a moment to reflect. What is the first attitude disease you need to confront in your own life? What action can you take right now to start shifting your mindset? Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress. Each day is a new opportunity to become the person you were always meant to be. Master your attitude, and you will master your life. The power is in your hands, and it starts with the choice to change your mindset.